I want to chat with you about the previous stories and what do we do when we have those automatic answers coming up, when we have those automatic ways to react to what our children are doing, because it's probably the most difficult things to tackle as a parent. It is my main difficulty as a parent as well, and I will be very vulnerable here talking about that, because I shared on my Instagram a bit about that I've sometimes I fail big time with my children, and I am not perfect. It's not because I'm here and I'm helping you and I'm teaching courses that I am perfect. Nobody's perfect, and there is no point to be perfect anyway. But yes, we all have those automatic answer when we discipline our children, when we raise our children, and it's come from our own childhood, okay, from the way we were raised. And if you come from a kind of normal family and you don't have big trauma or nothing very bad happened to you as a child, it's very hard to fight those automatic way to educate children, the ways you parents were educating you, that has become a bit automatic, and you have learned that when you were a child, because basically you are attached to your parents, and it's normal, and I'm sure your parents love you in their own way. And so you have nothing that bad against your parents, so those answers that you have, you cannot really say clearly that it was so terrible that you cannot do that again with your children, because you do know that your parents loved you and still love you, for example. And so basically it's very hard to decide to go against those way, the way your parents were educating you, because it's a bit like rejecting your own parents, and it's not something that you want to do. Rejecting your own parents, it's not what you're planning to do when you first become a parent. You are looking for your parents' supports, you are looking for for your parents-in-law supports, and you are hoping that they're going to help you and guide you in your parenting. And then when you discover that you want to parent in another way, because you are here, I suppose that you're interested into Montessori, respectful parenting and gentle parenting, and it might be very different from the way your parents were educating you. Maybe when you were little, your parents were using naughty steps, time out, maybe they were using a lot of rewards and praise, and it's not something that you want to do again, but your parents are kind of asking you to do that. And on top of that, because you were raised that way, those way to educate children comes naturally in a way. So naturally here is not to be used in a way that it's like what is as natural as intended, but more as a habit. So it feels natural because it's come out easily, but it might not be the right way to answer to your children. And it's something that I'm dealing with, on a daily basis. I have those automatic answers coming back to me when I try to guide and discipline my own children. So it's something that I know I relate to easily when I teach parents, because I love my parents. I think they were very good parents at the time, doing what society is expecting it from them, and also giving us a lot of freedom to express ourselves. That was something that was very big in my family. They were doing better than their own parents on many levels, but they were very much like iron hand in a velvet glove, and they were very big into punishment when we were misbehaving. And I can confirm that none of that has worked, because what they were trying to correct in our behavior is still there in me, for example, as an adult. So that didn't work at all. But they were well-meaning. And now I have to kind of fight back those kind of automatic replies, those automatic ways to educate my children constantly. And it's very an inner battle. And so, I do believe that we need support into that, especially, when you're not on the same length wave as your partner on that, and you need to kind of try to find common grounds and share your values with your partner. And then you need to kind of have each other's supports to be able to move away from those ways to educate. And the other thing that is really helpful is to educate yourself and to have more knowledge about why those old ways of parenting might not be the best way to parent nowadays, that we know so much about child development. Also to work a lot on your own guilt and your own way to love your own parents, and to start to love yourself, your parents and your children in an unconditional way, and just to see yourself and your parents and your children for who they are, with their own flaws, their own qualities, and just be very, empathic and to be very gentle towards yourself, your parents and your children when you explore all of that, and when you try to guide your children and yourself when you go through tantrums and difficult behaviors and so on. And it's a journey, so it's fine if you're still learning, and it's fine if you fail. What is not fine when you fail is not to acknowledge it and just to kind of decide that you were right and that's it, and your children are bad children and they need to be corrected. If you are in that mindset, or if your partner is in that mindset, then you haven't acknowledged what was wrong with some old ways of parenting, some old ways of disciplining children. So you need to kind of do more work about why you should move away from that. And obviously, I'm pretty sure if you're here, you are already aware that you can do better. But, I want you to know that there is no point to beat yourself up. It's more about like acknowledging those feelings, acknowledging that you may have made some mistakes today, and try to figure out what to do next, and how to handle those difficult feelings, and how to handle those automatic responses. And it's a day-to-day work. It's something that I find easier to do as I'm going along, but definitely it was so helpful to have the support of a group of like-minded parents, and it was so helpful to have the knowledge really helped me to move forwards, to have a better understanding of my children, of my responses, and how to kind of respond better. And it's become easier and easier every time. And every time I prepare for my discipline course, I really go through all the theories about child development, all my knowledge about discipline in this case, and that helped me again. So reading again some materials, reading again some books, dipping in and out a course, it's all of that along the way helped me to stay and to become a better parent for my own children. And it's not because my children are not little anymore that I don't have issues, or that they grow, and they always something that we can do better. And conflict between siblings, for example, are very different when they are like 7 and 11 than it was when they were younger. And there are other things to deal with. I'm going to have to deal with teenage years very soon, I guess. But what I wanted to say about these previous stories, like that, can have a bit more insight, and just to let you know that it's a work in progress for everybody, but I'm happy to help you there if you need to. So I will add the link to my discipline course, and we're starting on the 2nd of September. So in that course, we talk about your inner work. We talk about how to keep you cool. We talk about emotions management for us, the grown-up. We talk about all those mainstream discipline methods and why they might not be the best for us. We talk about how to move away from them and how to be more respectful towards our children. We talk about how to help our children with their own emotions, and we go through different scenarios. And it's not just a self-paced course. I'm there, so you will have the opportunity to ask your questions and to go through different scenarios with me. And so if you want to join, just swipe up and you will be able to book your space. We're starting on the 2nd of September.